Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and I'm continuing our study of the life of Peter. And we're in Luke 22 today. And today, Peter is going to be denied by Jesus 3 times. Um, every time we come to this event, I have to talk to you about the fact that the cock crowing is different in the different Gospels. Does he crow 3 times? Does he crow once? Does he crow twice? And I hope this is not a challenge to your faith to insist that we find some way to reconcile the number of times the cock crowed is to completely ignore the rules of ancient historiography and to apply a level of, to apply rules to the recording of the Gospels that were not applied to the recording of the Gospels when they were written. And it's not right and it's not fair of us to be that delicate in our faith that we can't deal with the fact that, or we have to write a 273-page book, which some have done, proving that somehow the crowing of the cocks and the number of the crowing of the cocks jive in all three Gospels, or the Synoptic Gospels. Get over yourself, okay? Please. If you read this and that's what matters to you, I'm sorry, and I worry for you. Because these are the words of God about the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus, and they have important lessons to teach us, none of which are bound up in how many times the cock crowed that night, depending on which gospel you're reading, okay? So, let's read Luke chapter 22, verses 54 through 62. Jesus had said to Peter earlier in the chapter, "You're going to be denying me 3 times tonight. Before the cock finishes crowing in the morning, you're going to deny me 3 times. You don't think you are, but you are. I know you are. I know how things are going to turn out." And he told him, "Satan has asked to sift you like wheat, but I prayed for you that your faith won't fail. And I need you to know that when you come back," and he said, "when, not if, you can be strong for your brothers." Well, the moment Jesus predicted happens. And we have a detail in Luke's gospel that we don't have anywhere else that is so important that I want us to read today. Luke 22, verses 54 through 62. Having arrested him, they led him away and brought him to the house of the high priest. But Peter was following at a distance. And after they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and had sat down together, Peter was sitting among them. And a certain servant girl, seeing him as he sat in the firelight and looking intently at him, said, "This man was with him too." But he denied, saying, "Woman, I don't know him." And a little later, another saw him and said, "You are one of them too." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." And after about an hour had passed, another man began to insist, "Certainly this man was with him because he's a Galilean too." How could they tell that? Probably his accent. But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." And immediately, while he was still speaking, a cock crowed. And the Lord turned and looked at Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he said, "Before a cock crows today, you'll deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly. And we're told in verse 63 what was happening when their eyes met. What was happening is that they were beating him and mocking him, blindfolding him, and spitting on him, and asking him to prophesy, telling him, "Who hit you?" That's what was going on. And he had line of sight on this. So he knew what was happening. He had line of sight because their eyes met. I can't imagine what it was like to sit there and to flinch every time Jesus was punched and to shiver every time he was mocked. I don't know. But he was there. The people recognized him. And they singled him out as being a disciple of Jesus. And just like Jesus said, he denied him 3 times. And when he had denied him the 3rd time, he heard the cock crow. And Jesus looked at him. That short little verse, he went out and wept bitterly. It just communicates so much. I mean, how awful did he feel? And how long did he carry that awfulness inside him for what he had done? And yet he knew that Jesus knew he was going to do it, because Jesus told him he was going to do it ahead of time. And Jesus also said, when you return, not if. It's not a matter of, can Jesus forgive me after this, or can God forgive me? It's a matter of, can he forgive himself? Which I think we will see next time, or in the coming days, when we talk about him in the aftermath of Jesus' death, burial, and then finding out that Jesus has raised from the dead. Gardner C. Taylor, one of the preeminent preachers, denominational preachers in America in the 20th century, has a wonderful sermon where he compares Judas and Peter. Both men were in a moment where they denied Jesus, betrayed Jesus, and knew they had done, and went out devastated at their own actions. One of them regretted it and took his life, and one of them finally was brought to repentance and lived a victorious life, and finally was martyred for Jesus and alongside Jesus and with Jesus. It's a masterful sermon, and it's a masterful observation that I wanted us to mention today. You can probably find that sermon online. I should probably find the actual title of it for you. Anyway, it's from his book of sermons, Chariots of Flame, I'll tell you that. And that's a good read if you'd like to look the book up and buy it. Next time, we're going to be finding out that Jesus is risen right alongside Peter and see how he reacts. Thank you for being with me. Another 5 good minutes with the Word.